Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in for another video, and today is going to be a simple one. We are just tier ranking head coaches heading into the 2026 NFL season. I will get further into details of how I'm going to preface this, but before I do, make sure you guys leave this video a like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel as it continues to help this channel to grow. Football season is on the way, and I want to continue to grow, so it's time to rank some head coaches. Let's get right into it. All right, so how we're going to do this is I'm going to base a little bit based off the past and a little bit based on what I think and where I think they are at this current moment. First-time head coaches, I'm kind of going to base that based off what I think they could do with their football team. You guys will kind of see as I go. But the first coach we got is New York Jets, Aaron Glenn. I don't think he's a bad head coach, and this is why I put him at C. I just think he's been dealt a very bad hand, whether it's come to a roster that's basically in rebuild mode, a team that is basically in flux. They've gotten rid of a lot of the defensive talent, whether we're talking about Sauce Gardner, Quentin Williams, Jermaine Johnson, players like that. I think they're starting to reshape the roster in the way that he wants it. And if they do a disservice and fire this man at this point, I just think it'd do a disservice to his football team and to him, because you didn't really give him much to work with. You know, I think he could be a solid head coach, but for now, put him at C. Andy Reid, S tier, 3-time Super Bowl champion. He's had this Chiefs basically on a dynasty these last few years. Now, last year was a bit of a hiccup, which I almost kind of predicted before the season, but we're talking about Andy Reid, one of the greatest minds on the offensive side of the ball. He gets this team ready to go, and they've been winning close games for years. It was just, I think at points in dynasties, at least in my opinion, sometimes you have a bit of a down year, especially in the NFL. And I think last year was just a blip in the road a little bit for the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, we'll see what the Mahomes injury looks like. But Andy Reid, S tier of a coach. My guy, Ben Johnson from my Bears, I can't put him at S. I put Ben Johnson at A. And the main reason is he got this team to not only the playoffs division win and a playoff victory. He made Caleb Williams, he got him to look good. This offense, they ran the football very well. Offensive line played very well with his new coaching staff. Now, the defensive side of the ball, I still think, to me, at this point, it needs work. But the impact that Ben Johnson has made on his football team, whether it's on the field and some of the things that they do in the locker room with the whole good, better, best, I love what he's doing with my Chicago Bears football team. And I put him at an A tier as a football coach who's brilliant offensive mind. He's got a lot out of their players. So I'm putting him at A. Next is Brian Schottenheimer from the Dallas Cowboys. I'll put him at a B tier. I think if the Cowboys defense was any better, he might be at an A tier. But as a head coach, a lot of that does fall on you. But I think that offense was explosive, and he's gotten this team pointing in the right direction heading into 26. So I put Brian Schottenheimer from the Dallas Cowboys at a B tier. I really like what he's starting to do with this football team. Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell, I have him at an A tier. I don't put him at an S necessarily just yet, but he's done a wonderful job with this Detroit Lions roster and this Detroit Lions organization. They were not too far off from the playoffs last year, had some NFC Championship berths. They had some playoff success. Defensively, it's wait and see. Offensively, they've been explosive. Offense did look a little bit different without Ben Johnson, but the way that Dan Campbell has galvanized his football team, I put him at the A tier. Now, today's video is being brought to you by SeatGeek. Now, SeatGeek is a great place to go for your tickets, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, hockey, concerts, sporting events of all kinds, wrestling, even comedy shows. SeatGeek is your place. SeatGeek will grade your tickets on good deals or bad deals. Red means bad, the green means a good deal. And we also give you guys a hookup where you can save some money on tickets using code APW Sports at checkout to save yourself 10% on your tickets. Thank you for SeatGeek for sponsoring the channel, and let's get back to the video. Dan Quinn from the Washington Commanders. I put him at the B tier. I always kind of figured a little bit that 2024 for the Commanders, I'm not going to say it was a big fluke, but I didn't think they would be able to sustain that type of success. And the defensive side of the ball showed it a bit last year in 2025. And I like that. Dan Campbell's a solid coach. That's why I can't put him anything other than in that mid tier. But we shall see what 2026 brings. And I don't expect a ton from this Commanders team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But I put him at the B tier. Next is Dave Canales from the Carolina Panthers. I also put him at the B tier. He got a lot. He's got a little bit out more than what we kind of thought at times we'll get out of Bryce Young. Now, offensively, they ran the football a lot better. They were explosive. Defensively, they were good. Dave Canales got this football team to almost beat the Los Angeles Rams in the playoffs. They were like a couple of plays away from actually taking that game. So Dave Canales has this football team trending in the right direction. It's interesting to see if they can sustain that type of momentum and success, but I have him at the B tier for now. DeMeco Ryans, I have him at the A tier with the Houston Texans. The way that he's able to get this defense to play the type of football it is. Offensively, I still think they need a bit of offensive line work. I still think they need a little bit more in the weaponry. But if we're talking about the way that he got this football team, he's been in the playoffs every year he's been there. Every year he's been there. I think it was 2 division titles. He's got in the playoffs every single season. I put him at the A tier. Next is Jeff Hafley. I'm going to put Jeff Hafley in C. And the main reason is I don't expect a lot from him or the Miami Dolphins going into 2026. First-time head coach. He's coached really good defenses when he was the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. But I don't have really high expectations of this team. I think they have to develop a little bit more. You get Malik Willis at quarterback. And I do like the scheme that he brings to this Dolphins team, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time for everything to kind of work and get their pieces together. I put him at C. Next is Jesse Minter from the Baltimore Ravens' new head coach. I think he's going to do a good job. I personally think Jesse Minter is going to do a good job as the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. I really do. Lamar Jackson's your quarterback. That's always great. Defensive mind with Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith leading the charge on defense. Marlon Humphrey still playing some solid football. I believe in this Ravens team to be a lot better than what they were last year. Offensively, it's a wait and see, especially with some of the weapons. I've always been a question. I think that's, for me personally, it's always been a question mark a little bit about the weapons on the offensive side of the ball for the Ravens, but I think Jesse Minter is going to come in and do a really good job at making this defense a lot better than what it was and what we see in 2025. I really do believe so, and that's why I put him at the B tier, and I think it's more of my expectations for him as a football coach. Jim Harbaugh, I put him in the A tier as far as football coaches go. I think this Chargers team, when they get the tackles back, is going to be good. He still led them to a playoff berth this past year with all of the things that were happening on the offensive side of the ball. Justin Herbert, I think, is going to look a lot better once he's protected well. And Jim Harbaugh, the way I think he's going to have more impact. I think the running game that he likes is going to have more impact than this football team coming in 2026. So Jim Harbaugh, I really believe, and then it's past with success with the San Francisco 49ers as well. I hate him because you guys, you know what, but yeah. Joe Brady, I'm questioning Joe Brady. I'm not going to lie. Was that a good hire, or was that a good thing to let go of Sean McDermott? I still kind of question that a little bit now. The defense has failed them at times. But I'm interested to see where this team is going to go now that Joe Brady is the head coach of this football team. I still expect the Bills to be a very good football team. I still expect them to be right there competing in the AFC East, competing for possibly a Super Bowl. But my expectations for Joe Brady, this could all fall flat. It has a realm of possibility of falling flat. It just does. And that's the only reason I put him in the C tier, because I just feel like it may fall flat. They may not have the success that they want letting go of McDermott. Can Joe Brady bring it? I think he possibly could. But I think, at least in my opinion, it has more chance of falling than that. That's just me. Next is Jim Harbaugh's brother, John Harbaugh. I put him at a B. The exit with Baltimore is not so great. Team didn't look so great. It was times where you're the head coach, they didn't run a football when times when they needed to, didn't give Derrick Henry the football. And there was a lot of stuff that came out about the players and a dislike of them. So I do think he's going to do a really good job with this really young New York Giants football team. Whether we're talking about Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbull, Malik Neighbors, assuming he comes back to start the season. You do lose Dexter Lawrence, which I think is huge. But he could be a guy that kind of changes the culture around this Giants locker room, which it really needed, to be honest. Next is Kellen Moore. I also put Kellen Moore at that B tier. I think he really did a good job with Tyler Sharp last year. I think this Saints team is one of those teams that's, I'm not going to say just all going to be sprint fast on the rise, but I think they're going to continue to get better and better as time goes along. And then on top of that, you bring in Travis Etienne to kind of complement Tyler Sharp and that offense with Chris Olave, a wide receiver from The Ohio State University. Defensively, I'm still in question with them, but I think Kellen Moore, the job he did last year, I think it's commendable, especially late in the season. Next is Kevin O'Connell. I put Kevin O'Connell in the A tier. And we've seen the track record he has with quarterbacks in this system, whether we're talking about Kirk Cousins, whether we're talking about Sam Darnold. I just think he can get the best out of quarterbacks. We've seen what Daniel Jones did when he left him, and he was too little under. Kevin O'Connell is a really good coach. I just think the J.J. McCarthy situation is a little bit of a bad hand. It's a little bit of a bad hand. We'll see what he can do with Kyler Murray. But as a football coach, I think Kevin O'Connell is one of the really good coaches that we have in this league. Next is Kevin Stefanski. I kind of put Kevin Stefanski in that mid tier. It's interesting to see he kind of has a bit of the same problem in Atlanta that he did in Cleveland, which is quarterback. But he did get some successful teams in Cleveland. When we're talking about the Joe Flacco year in 2023 or 2024. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2023. Then he has the 2020 team that goes on to win a playoff game. But outside of that, quarterback position is what he was, and the offensive leader is what he was brought to solve. Didn't help much at times with that offense. So I'm putting him in a B tier. It's just to see what he's going to do with the quarterback position. Next is, he kind of looks like John Cena in this picture. Clint Kubiak of the Las Vegas Raiders. I put him at the C tier. I think it's more of a wait and see what he can do with a young quarterback. And we talk about, he had a little bit of, I think he was no, he wasn't. Now I'm getting my guys mixed up. But I just think for me, I put him at the C because he's a little bit more of a wait and see. Honestly. It's a bit more of a wait and see of what Clint Kubiak is going to do at that quarterback position. And Las Vegas, whether it's going to start Cousins, whether it's going to be Mendoza. The team is very young. Still got Max Crosby on your roster. I think I'm more of a wait and see versus a Jesse Minter, who I think is going to have success. I think this team I think it's just a wait and see for me with Kubiak. That's just me. Liam Cohen, I put him in a B tier, honestly. And the reason I put him in a B tier, yes, it was his first year, kind of like Ben Johnson. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to keep him at B. I'm interested to see what it can get out of the receiving core in his offense. I will say this, though. Trevor Lawrence did take the step that I was kind of waiting on him to see. I was waiting on Trevor Lawrence to take that, okay, I'm going to make this team. I think he took a different step in that Liam Cohen system. But I still give him a B. I still give him a B with this team. Defensively, we'll see, but I still give him a B. Next is Mike LaFleur. No, this Kyle Shanahan. I don't know why I got them confused. It's Kyle Shanahan, S tier. Yes, he hasn't won a Super Bowl, but the job he did with that 49ers team that was decimated by injury, and at most points of his tenure has been decimated by injuries, he's one of the greater coaches in this league. You had Mac Jones. You make Mac Jones look successful in the time that he was the starting quarterback. And then Brock Purdy, we've seen what he's done with him. One of the great coaches that in this league. It's just the only question you have with Kyle Shanahan is, can he get this 49ers team to a championship that has been long overdue or long overwaited? That's the only question you have with Kyle Shanahan. The only one. Matt LaFleur. I'm going to put him at the A tier, but that Packers team did struggle down the stretch last year. It struggled, whether it was the concussion to Jordan Love, and it had really good play from Malik Willis. After the Bears game, this team did not win another single game. And that was a bit of an issue for me. They blew 2 leads to my Bears, which I love, but they blew 2 leads to the Bears, boat raced by the Baltimore Ravens. This team just faltered down the stretch. I think it was at points, especially after the playoff Bears loss, he was in a hot seat. But they ended up retaining him. I still think he's a really good football coach. I still think he's one of the top coaches. But the way that they played down the stretch, did he lose the locker room at point? It's just like, what? What happened? For them to not win a single game since the first Bears game, it's a bit alarming, but I still think he's a really good football coach. Mike LaFleur in Arizona, I put him at C. And the main reason I put him at C is just, what are we going to get from him? You got the whole quarterback situation. This Arizona team is basically in a rebuild mode. And can he get the best out of the players he got? I think, like I said, I put Jesse Minter there. I think it's more of my expectations for the Ravens as a roster and a football team. I don't have many expectations for the Arizona Cardinals. I just don't. I don't expect this team to be really beating people up. I don't really expect this team to be... I expect them to be one of the lower tier teams, and that's just based off the roster. Now, it's interesting to see what its impact is going to be on the field, is how things are going to look. But as of right now, I have to put him at C. Next is Mike Macdonald, Super Bowl champion Mike Macdonald. I put him at the S tier. The way that he has this defense ever since he took over as head coach. Even he made Geno Smith at times look good, helping with the head offense. That defense, like I said, has been tremendous. Sam Darnold had a really good year with him. And the way that he schemed the defense to be one of the more dominant defenses in the league, and we've seen in the performance that they put on in the Super Bowl, Mike Macdonald, the way he has this Seahawks team going, they're going to be one of the top more successful teams for years. I really believe so with the defense that they have. They lost a couple of pieces, but I still think the way he schemes that defense, S tier of a football coach. Mike McCarthy. I put Mike McCarthy in C, believe it or not. Dallas, yes, he did have a couple of solid years in Dallas. I just think, and this is my personal opinion, I don't expect much from Mike McCarthy's team, the Steelers, in 2026. I don't. I think he's not the right hire, and I've said that before. I don't think he's the right hire. Do I still think he's a decent football coach? You could say so. But my expectations for Mike McCarthy are not high. I don't believe in his... I just don't think this offense, especially with an older Aaron Rodgers, is going to have much success. He's had success in the past, Super Bowl champion. You can't knock that. But I just think over time, his offenses will kind of be figured out. And I really believe that the Steelers team made the wrong hire. I really believe so. Next is Mike Vrabel. I put Mike Vrabel at an S tier. Believe it or not, I put Mike Vrabel at S. One of the greater defensive minds. That New England Patriots team, yeah, I've always said if Bo Nix doesn't get hurt, they don't make the Super Bowl, and I still stand by that. But he got a bad rep when he was in Tennessee. Tennessee didn't do him a justice. I don't think they really did him much justice towards the end of his tenure there, especially that quarterback position. And I like what Mike Vrabel can do with this defense. Defenses, I think, is what carried them to the Super Bowl. Drake May played tremendously, and you can credit Mike Vrabel for coming in there and helping with that. But I think I have them at the S tier of the football coach. Call me crazy. And it's not my Ohio State Buckeyes biased either. Next is Nick Sirianni. All he does is win. But I think I'm going to put him at that S tier level. All he does is win. You can't deny that. But it was times where the Eagles team has not been looking great, especially last year. Now, I know they've been through a ton of offensive coordinator changes and some defensive coordinator changes. But when you win as much as he does, I mean, teams take from him. So I put Nick Sirianni at that S tier. Next is Robert Saleh. I put Robert. I think I'm gonna put Robert Saleh at C. He has a great defensive mind, but it's just some of his past, especially with the Jets. We thought that defense was gonna be tremendous, and it had points where it was successful, but it just wasn't consistent. And it's just his Jets tenure kind of leaves me the wrong way. Do I believe he's a good football coach? Absolutely. And the Titans, they have a really young roster that they're rebuilding, and I think they can go some places with the pieces that they've added. But I'm going to put him at C for now. Next is Sean McVay. I also put him at the S tier as far as football coaches. The way he had this offense looking is explosive. And with the defense, the way, even with some of the secondary issues, you still got them to an NFC Championship game. And you were a couple plays here and there from being a Super Bowl appearance yet again. He's already been in 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl very recently. And you can't deny the man's is an offensive genius, the way he has that Rams offense looking on a consistent basis. So I have him at the S tier. Sean Payton is also, to me, at that S tier of a football coach. Got in. He has some issues with the Roll Russell situation, but Bo Nix has done nothing but improve during his tenure there. The Broncos, like I said earlier, they were one play away and one ankle injury away to Bo Nix from being the team in the Super Bowl. Do I think the Seahawks still probably win that Super Bowl? Yeah, it'd have been more competitive as well with the way that he's gotten out of Bo Nix. Now, they did not have as much as explosiveness, but Sean Payton's tenure with the Saints, things he's done there, things he's doing now with the young Bo Nix and helping him develop, I put him at the S tier of a football coach. Shane Steichen, I put him at a C, and I think, honestly, they went off to a decent start, but they faltered down the stretch. And it didn't help that Daniel Jones got hurt, but this team faltered down the stretch. Now, he hasn't been given a great quarterback. I will say that. Can Daniel Jones recover in time for the season starts? I personally don't think so. But Shane Steichen, I put him at a C for now. I do. Todd Bowles, I put Todd Bowles at a B. His Buccaneers team has been successful with him. Defensively, they've had some successful runs, especially with him a defensive coordinator. Now with him a head coach, Baker Mayfield is quarterback position. He's a really solid head coach. I don't expect a ton from the Bucs this year, honestly. I ain't gonna say they're gonna be bad, but I just don't expect this Buccaneers team to be world beaters. Can they be? Possibly, if Baker Mayfield comes out and plays consistently and doesn't get hurt like he did early 2025. But Todd Bowles, I put him at the B tier. Next is Todd Monken. This is also the same offensive coordinator that did not give Derrick Henry the ball much in fourth quarters of games. He has a very big uphill climb with the Cleveland Browns. Very big uphill climb. Whether we're talking about quarterback position. You lose Myles Garrett now. He has a very big uphill climb. I just don't expect a lot from him. I really, really don't. I really don't. I just got to be honest. I really don't. Next, and last but not least, Zach Taylor. I put Zach Taylor at B. My issue with Zach Taylor, yes, he's led the Bengals to the Super Bowl and another AFC Championship game appearance, and some of the woes has been due to defensive liability, which he doesn't do much to help. And it protected Joe Burrow, and I think this is why I put him at B. He puts Joe Burrow in shotgun too much behind a not too great offensive line. And that's, I think you go under center a little bit more. The offense is not as predictable. Now, the offense is explosive, do not get me wrong. But I just think Joe Burrow is in shotgun a little bit too much for the way that offensive line has been not so great the last couple of years. But he's had success, and he's gotten them to a Super Bowl and was a couple of plays away from winning that game. But Zach Taylor, I put him at B. You guys could probably question this, and I can see a couple of holes or a couple of ways that you can question my list. But here's my list of ranking head coaches ahead of 2026. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I am APW Sports signing out. Peace.